Yeah, but let's start off with this Tottenham update, and we're going to start off talking about Mikey Moore. We heard from Ange Postecoglou in his press conference last week saying he's going to be out for some time. Paul O'Keefe says today that Mikey Moore still needs 3 to 4 weeks rest following his recent illness, which is a very strange situation regarding Mikey Moore. 3 to 4 weeks is quite detrimental to us in terms of such a busy period as well. It's really frustrating, isn't it?
Well, considering, Odegaard and Richarlison are long-term injuries, there's no way they're going to be back before the new year. So, obviously, this was going to be a really important period for Mikey Moore to, get some more chances, maybe more chances in the Premier League. Obviously, we've been seeing him in Europa League throughout the season. He's been performing really well. And I really think his development is, it's been doing wonders for his development at this period. So, the fact that out of nowhere he's been hit with this virus before the international break, you would have thought, he's ill. Surely after international break he'd be fit and back ready to go and ready to contribute. And the fact that he's still a month away, I mean, that doesn't sound like a virus unless it's something more serious or a really nasty virus that he's got. To be out for what's going to be about a month until looking like if he's out for another month, that's like 6 weeks to 2 months he's going to be out for, and missing this crucial period where the burden's going to be even more on the likes of Werner, Son and Johnson to fill in that role. So gutting for him, because this would have been a great opportunity for him, and he's not like picked up an injury or something. This is something that no one could have seen coming. So I'm very disappointed for Mikey. Obviously, he's going to put more pressure on our wingers. I'm not sure he would have been starting too many games, to be honest, anyway. But he would have definitely been getting more game time. And in Europa League, he probably would have maybe gotten a couple of starts. So hopefully in January, there's still a couple of Europa League games there against Hoffenheim and Rangers. So maybe there's still some more game time for him when he comes back. But just disappointing for him because it's an opportunity that he's just missing out on.
Yeah, I think it's going to be of detriment to the squad as well, because we've got so many games. We've got a game coming every 4 days pretty much now until the beginning of January. And that's going to put a lot of strain on the forward players, like we know that it's going to happen, because we've got the only right winger that's available is Brennan Johnson. We've got Timo and Sonny on the left, but one injury there to our forward line now. We're literally down to our bare bones.
I just think it means Decky's going to be playing more out wide. I think in which he did well, obviously on Saturday, and we know he can do that role. We know he's been amazing in the centre, and that's where we want to keep him. But he's just going to have to do a job for the team. I think obviously Brennan will probably be predominantly starting there, but I think he's going to have to be rotating with Decky on occasion to play on that side, because I don't think Brennan can play all 11 games, can he? Or start. So I think it means for Decky he's going to have to be doing that role, but means less decision making about what we do in Maddison. It means he can come back in the team, and he did brilliant. So I don't think it's in terms with Mikey Moore missing, I think that probably would have been the case anyway. I don't think he would have been looking to Mikey Moore ahead of putting Decky out wide in general. I think he probably would have put Decky there more with the injuries to Odegaard and Richarlison. But I do think, especially with the Europa League games, and I also think coming off the bench and stuff like that in Premier League, there would have been opportunities for him to get minutes here in this run, and that's not going to happen now due to this virus. So that's the biggest shame for me. In terms of how it puts the burn on the squad, I don't think it makes too much of a difference to us in terms of who's going to be starting games.
Well, I think he would have started tomorrow, and I think he probably would have started out in Rangers.
I don't think he would have started tomorrow.
Why not?
Because I think Brennan probably would have started anyway.
You don't think he could have started on the left? I mean,
I think Werner would have started.
Mikey's pretty much started every Europa League game, hasn't he?
Yeah, but Werner came off the bench. He got an assist. So I think he probably would have started on Thursday, tomorrow.
You reckon?
Yeah.
I reckon he would have gone Mikey Timo, to be fair. I don't see why not.
Because Brennan didn't start on the weekend.
I know, but keep him fresh for the weekend. Why not?
Because it's an important game.
I know it's an important game, but you got Mikey's he's proved himself in these Europa League games. I don't think there's a reason why not to start him.
I'm not saying he's not done well. He has, but I just think I think he probably would have started with the fact that Brennan and Timo didn't start on the weekend. And if he played Decky out wide, I think he would have gone with Brennan and Timo from the start, and maybe given Mikey Moore like half an hour in the second half.
But the way I look at it is, I think he would have started Mikey and kept Brennan really fresh for the game against Fulham. I mean, but anyway, we're never going to find out, are we? So, That's Mikey Moore. Let's talk about Ben Davies now, which is an interesting one. Jack Pitbrook says that Tottenham intend to trigger the option for Ben Davies' contract, keeping the Welsh defender at the club for an additional season until June the 30th, 2026. Was this part of the Sonny deal? Because Sonny don't go. Sonny only triggers something when his best friend does as well. It's quite surprising to me. I know Ben has done really well this season, and every time he's stepped in admirably well. You just look back at the game against Man City, probably his best game in the Spurs shirt. But still, like, he's been at the club for 10 years, and I thought maybe Spurs would be dipping into the market this summer for like a left back or a left centre back. And if Ben Davies is at the club, I can't really see that happening.
I think we should be dipping into the market for another one, even if Ben Davies stays, which looks like likely outcome now with him extending his contract. I think if you'd asked a lot of Tottenham fans a month ago, with this news, it would have gotten a different reaction. But in the last month, he's played against Villa and Man City in the Cup, did unbelievably well starting at the Etihad as well. So now there's probably a different feeling around that eventuality of Ben Davies staying. He's obviously done a brilliant job, and also last season, you got to remember, he actually did quite a good job filling in as well at centre back. So I think credit where credit's due. I think he has been an able deputy for Van de Ven when stepping in. Obviously doesn't provide the same things Van de Ven provides, and I do think there's a general feeling among the fan base, at least anyway, that if we do get an opportunity to bring in a younger, faster, more physical player in that position who could suit what Ange wants, there's going to be less anxiety about people like Van de Ven and Udogie getting injured. If we can get like a player, for example, let's say a Calafiori type, who could fill in those positions, who's just got a lot higher ceiling and more potential, then that would be the way to go. But there's no doubting, or no denying, I should say, that Davies has been, as Madison puts it, Mr. Reliable over the last couple seasons, or for a while, to be honest. And he never really lets us down. He's never really put in any stinkers, and he's never really one that we can't rely on. But he's also not one where he puts in too many, apart from obviously Saturday was one of them, but doesn't put too many exceptional performances in, not one where he's like a game changer in that position. So I do have mixed feelings about it. I do probably think at his age and, where we're at as a squad, it would probably be time to upgrade on that and have someone who can compete for a first team slot there, and even push Udogie and Van de Ven and have someone who's younger with a higher ceiling. But maybe if we're feeling, with the likes of Vuskovic or maybe Phillips coming back next season, or even if we want to give them another year to develop, do we want to sign another centre back and block their development, and can we just keep Davies for another year, and maybe with a view in a couple years' time having people like Vuskovic and Phillips come into the squad? Maybe that's what they're feeling, and if that's the case, I don't think it's the worst decision, but I do think it's going to lead to a lot of frustration with some fans, and it's going to lead to some fans thinking, is this Tottenham clinging on to older players again, and is this Tottenham going in a cheaper way again when we should be signing another centre back? So I kind of see both arguments, but I can't sit here and slag off Davies when he's been so good over the past month, so I don't think that would be right. Yeah,
look, you've got to give him credit for the way he's conducted himself on the pitch for the past month, but I don't think that gets away from the fact that we need to, at some point, move on and at some point upgrade that position. And I thought that time was coming this summer. I hope it still does. Maybe triggering an extension as well puts a bit of value on his name. And with the form that he's showing, maybe Spurs feel like they can get a couple of million here or there instead of losing him for free in the summer.
Yeah, it's also maybe an eventuality. I mean, maybe a case because, if he leaves on a free, obviously we get nothing, and he's a player who's still clearly Premier League quality. So maybe we feel like, why can't we get a few million potentially? But I don't think we extend it unless we're thinking on keeping him, I would think.
Yeah, I guess it is only one more year, but I just don't want it to hold us back in terms of what we need to do in the summer, and I feel like it might do. That's the only thing. Let's talk about these quotes from Radu and Deki, both talking about the family feel at the club. Radu says, we've been talking a lot about the family, about staying together, sticking together in the tough times. We know we've had a couple of games that we've lost, but we've talked between us and we've said we have to stick together as a team to keep the same feeling between us and believe we can achieve something special. And Deki says, it's the only way to win games is when you play for your family. When you see your guys in danger, when you help them defensively, and when you have the ball. We are a family. You know, no family is perfect, but at least we have to protect each other, and we will protect each other. And both these players talking about the family feel at Spurs. You definitely saw that kind of family feel at the Etihad. But then again, you think to games at Crystal Palace and you think to games at Ipswich where the family feel was kind of lacking. So let's hope that they can use this kind of Man City game as a springboard now.
Yeah, no, they're not the first players to talk about it. Brendan was also talking about it, I think, after the Villa game, about that it definitely seems like more of a family at the moment. And he says that Ange is very strong on that kind of terminology, and he's been very much imprinting that on the squad, that we have to look at each other as family, and we have to look at each other as people we can rely on, and we're always going to be there for each other kind of feel. And yes, look, we had bad results against Brighton and Palace and Ipswich, and where we're at as a team at the moment, that might happen on occasion. But you can see, I think in general, when I see some of the training footage, when I see how we are in big moments, I do think everyone's very much on the same wavelength. Everyone is backing each other up, and we just need to make sure, like Decky was saying, in tough times, like, when we're digging in deep against Man City, and you need those attacking players to get back in position and fighting for each other and protect that goal. That's where the family feel really comes to the fore. It's not in the good times, it's in the bad times that you really see what we're made of. And so far this season, in the bad times, we haven't been able to overcome that. Albeit there have been some games we've been 1-0 down and been able to turn that around. But there were rumours coming out of during the international break about a falling out and this and that. But from what I've seen, from what the players have been saying, I just don't know how much credibility there was to a lot of those claims. And they've always been speaking about this, how tight-knit they want to be. And obviously it's all about how that happens over the long term. It's easy to do it when you're winning games and over a short period of time, but it's over a long term that's where it really gets determined. So I think the players clearly get on. I think you can see that. It's a young group. They're all growing together. I think they've got a really good leader in Son, who is perfect for encapsulating that kind of atmosphere. So I think that's a really important trait you need in a team, I think.
Yeah, it is an important trait, but they need to show it on a week-to-week basis, not just, in the big games where, you're going to come under pressure, in the Man City games, the Villa games, the Man United games. You need to show it every week, even when you come up against the smaller teams. And I don't think maybe we've done that every single week. So it's something that you need to build towards, I guess. Let's talk about these comments from Ange regarding the goalkeeping situation in the press conference today. He's talking about if Spurs are going to dip into the free agent market, because I know a lot of Spurs fans have been calling for that on social media, and he says it's not going to happen. That's why we've got a squad of players. I don't think signing a free agent helps. Me naming Fraser in the Europa League squad looks like a radical decision now, doesn't it?
And having a pop at some fans, I think.
Yeah, including us.
Yeah.
And then he's also talking about his goalkeepers and how he wants them to play. And he says, I do want them to play out from the back, but I don't want them to be Maldini or Platini. I keep telling our players not to pass back to our keepers because they're the ones with the gloves on. Hitting long kicks is actually more difficult. That's more skilled involved. I'm asking them to do short passes. It's more taking away the risk for them and having a structure to make it a clean process. It's just about changing their mindset. Joe Hart was great at Celtic and Fraser has been great here. They're involved in our passing drills, and Rob Birch has been working with them for 18 months, not just this week. So what did you make out of those comments?
First of all, when it comes to the free agent, I didn't really expect Tottenham to dip into that market, to be honest. I kind of got the feeling like if they believed there was a keeper on a free who was better than what we got, then we would have them here because they would be available. And they clearly don't, because we haven't signed them when we gave Fraser a new deal last year. So, Ange was the one who gave him a new deal, wasn't he? So I don't think he would have done that for no reason, whether it's because he just likes the influence he's got in the dressing room or he believes he's an able deputy. He decided to do that. So that's his decision. So I don't think he's going to, as soon as there comes a point he has to rely on him, even when he's given him a new contract, he's going to go, actually, I don't think you're any good. I'm going to sign a keeper who no club has or no club wants in the moment. I think he's going to back him. I think he was always going to do that. So I think that makes sense. I think the difference comes in January, in terms of signing a new keeper, which he said, interestingly, in his press conference, that the injury to Vicario isn't going to change our plans in January, but he also said when you have an injury to a keeper like Vicario, and for the length of time he's out, it is time to step back and look at what you've got and see where you're at. I always think the plan, as a few journalists said, was to bring in a backup keeper anyway, regardless of this injury to Vicario. So when he says, the injury to Vicario hasn't changed our plans in January, I don't think that means we're not signing a goalkeeper, because I think maybe it was always within the plans to sign a keeper anyway. So I wouldn't be surprised if, people take that the wrong way, but I still think there's a good chance we do sign a goalkeeper, because I think that was always on the cards for us. But yeah, I don't think signing Keylor Navas or anything else was anything realistic. But when it comes to what you're saying about playing like that, that's kind of what I was saying yesterday. I think obviously Vicario is quite comfortable with the ball at his feet, and he's really got that little clip out to the fullback. Not mastered, but he's really improving that. He's getting it a lot more consistent. Even with Vicario, though, there's always moments, isn't there, where everyone has their heart in their mouths and we're thinking, we're putting ourselves in danger. But when it comes to how we play with our keepers playing out the back, it is a lot of the time just keeping it simple, short passes to the centre-backs and getting them to build it up. And is Forster capable of doing that? He is. Is Forster capable of doing those little clips out to the full-back or doing anything a bit more complicated? He hasn't shown that on a consistent basis, but I don't think that is absolutely essential for us. What I would say yes, it's something that can really help us get out of some situations, but it's not like every time we build up from the back it's from Vicario clipping out to a fullback. It does happen a few times a game, but it's not something that is absolutely essential for us. It's something that is nice to have. So it's something that we probably might do without, or maybe it's something that Forster's been working on and with Rob Birch, and it's something that maybe we'll see a bit more once he has a few games for us over the next few months. But when it comes to can Forster do the playing out the back thing, all he has to do is keep it simple, in my opinion, and just get it to whoever, Romero or Dragoshin or Van der Ven, and we're going to have to play through the lines. And hopefully, if it means we have to use a keeper less in build-up, then so be it. But I don't think it's something that should be it might hold us back a little, but I don't think it's something that we can look at. Because we didn't win this game because Vicario or because Forster can play out the back. I don't think that should be a situation.
Yeah, but there is a case to say that we could come under a bit more pressure with Fraser Forster at the back. We've seen it a few times this season where his playing out the back has completely frightened the life out of me. Like that Coventry game springs to mind as well, where we did come under a lot of pressure because of Fraser Forster's playing out the back. And it's not just that as well, it's him from a goalkeeping aspect. Yes, he's made some top saves this season, 100%, not denying it, but there has been occasion or two where you can hit it low and hard to either side of Fraser Forster and he's probably not saving it.
That I don't disagree with.
So there are quite a few flaws in Fraser Forster's game, being the age that he is and the stage of his career that he's at. It's not a surprise. So I think Spurs have to dip into the goalkeeping market in January. I think it's right not to go for a free agent because I don't think there's many free agents out there that are probably going to be better than Fraser anyway. But I think when you're talking about the plans and what the plans are, the plan was always to bring in a keeper, but I feel like maybe if Vicario didn't get injured, they probably would have postponed it till the summer when Fraser's contract was up. But now he is injured for the next 2-3 months, whatever it may be. I think we have to get one in January. We just have to.
Yeah, I think it needs to be brought forward, whatever plans were. I think it should be accelerated. If it means we have to pay a few extra million, I think it could be worth it. Because if we can get an upgrade on Fraser and someone who compete for Vicario in the short term, that'll be a much better situation. But I agree with what you're saying. When it comes to shot stopping, I've always had a bit of an issue with Forster. I think if you put it to the side of him or in the corner, a lot of the times he just doesn't get near it and it struggles for him. Now, the thing is with Forster, he's a very big guy. So he does cover a lot of the goal and he's quite good at closing down angles and just basically being hit. So he's still, not the easiest to hit it past. But I feel like with Vicario, he's obviously his reflexes, his flexibility is on another level to Fraser Forster. Fraser Forster struggles to get low down to shots. Anything really in the corner, he struggles to get near, to be honest. And we saw that even Galatasaray. I thought one of the goals Osimhen scored, he just hit it hard and low into the corner and he couldn't get near it. Fraser Forster, I thought the opening goal was from 30 yards. It wasn't right in the corner even, but he hit it high with power, and Forster should have saved it, and he couldn't get near it. So that is something that's a bit of a worry. So we're going to have to protect him a bit more, make sure that we're cutting off more of the shots than maybe we were with Vicario, and we're going to have to make sure that we're helping him out a lot more than we were with Vicario, and that's unfortunately going to be the case. He is not as good a keeper as Forster. My only point was from the playing out from the back perspective, as much as it is still a worry, it's not as much as a worry it is for me as the other aspects that we're losing with Vicario.
All right, well, there you have it. That is your Tottenham update. Let us know in the comment section below your thoughts regarding all those updates that we've just been through.